Wake that ass up
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Now, from ESPN, we have our guys, Jalen and Jacoby. Welcome, fellas.
What up, Joe? And you know we got to come to the Breakfast Club to give the people what they want.
I don't know what you just said because your phone breaking up, Jalen.
It sounds a little choppy.
Phone was breaking up.
And aren't you used to doing this every day?
I am. I got on my little earpiece.
Okay, there we go. That's better.
Okay.
Ready to do this. I was screaming.
First of all, I want to say salute to you and Jacoby because y'all bring a sense of normalcy to my day. Like, you know, for the past 3 months or however long we've been in this little quarantine, just to be able to turn on ESPN and see y'all on TV, whether it's y'all or First Take, and the fact that y'all find a way to talk about shit and there's no sports is incredible.
We definitely appreciate the love and support. It feels like both of our shows are on the come up at the same time. Each of us are similar in age, and you guys' movement has started basically around a decade, kind of like ours. And I've seen you guys continue to grow an inch and inch and inch and become the #1 show and successful in your own right, like Wu-Tang Clan. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Are you excited for the NBA season to come back? Did you think this was going to happen?
I'm definitely excited about the NBA comeback. As long as money can exchange hands, there will be an NBA champion this year. It's going to be unorthodox in a lot of ways. It's going to be like reg ball on a Saturday when it's hot outside and the wind blowing. No, all elements. Shirts and skins. It's not going to be chalk. It's going to be upsets. It's going to be injured players coming back to play. But ultimately, Charlamagne is going to be happy because I believe LeBron James will still find a way to win the championship.
Well, one thing about the NBA announcement that really jumped out to me is they're like, yeah, we're going to bring it back to have everybody go to Orlando. We're going to start the season. Here's the format. And like, yeah, we're going to start all that in July 31st. Like, what are y'all doing for the next 8 weeks? Like, what is going to happen?
Yeah,
what
I didn't wait
takes y'all
until the
so
end
long?
of July.
They got to get back.
No one's explained that to me.
They got to get back in shape.
They got to train.
They got to train.
Oh, come on.
The end of June is fine.
Yeah. We all know that we've gotten in shape in 10 days before.
You guys talk about it every day. There's something happening called COVID-19, and it's probably going to spike over the next 2 or 3 weeks based on the civil unrest, and we're just not socially distancing anymore. And so based on that, I think they built in a curve where it could spike in 2 or 3 weeks, and then it can decline in 2 or 3 weeks. That was the thing.
And what's the parameters with this now? Now I'm hearing that everybody's going to be staying in Disney. They're going to be playing in Disney, but not allowed to leave, not allowed to see family members. What are the parameters with this new league, or I should say this after COVID-19 NBA?
Well, they got what's called a bubble down there. And it's in theory, you're not supposed to leave. But one thing that they are doing, which I appreciate, I know you got a bunch of kids too, Envy, is you bring the family. You know, you bring the family into the bubble, so the kids are going to get that Disney hotel to themselves, get the pool to themselves. You know, so like the kids are going to be happy. It's just the athletes themselves are going to be in that bubble, but it's almost impossible not to come in contact or even share the same air as someone who is outside the bubble. So one thing we will see that people aren't really talking about is we're going to see some positive results in the NBA and how they deal with that and the implications of that. Who really knows what's going to happen?
I agree with Jalen, though. I do think LeBron, I do think the Lakers are going to win, but I'm still not sleeping on the Clippers because for me, at this point, it's about who was staying in shape over the past 3 months.
Absolutely. And each person's scenario is different. So if you all NBA season vet, you got the mansion, the gym, the chef, the trainer, you're quarantining and it's not really missing a beat other than going to the facility. Now it's these young cats who are apartment living on their first rookie deal, that type of thing, can't work out in the gym, can't swim in the pool, don't have access. And so and by the way, Jacoby always talk about his kids. You're JV. Envy is supersized, okay? You got 2 twins and a son. Envy's supersized, by the way. And so it's going to be great for the people who are married with kids to be quarantined in the resort in Orlando and eating good. But what about the single guys? That's going to be a disaster. Trying to get your jump offs in and out, going through security, having to take a COVID-19 test, trying to fly them in with masks and shields, man, that's going to be crazy.
You're right.
Well, you just have to be in a committed relationship during that time, at least for a period of time.
Friends with benefits, like the holidays coming up or something.
Now, Jalen, how difficult is it going to be to play with no fans? Because, you know, players feed off the energy. They feed off the fans. They feed off what's going on. So the fact that nobody's there, how difficult is that going to be?
It's going to be a completely different game. That's what I'm saying. It's like the greatness is still going to rise. So the Lakers and the Clippers and Giannis and the Bucks, don't sleep on the Celtics. Don't sleep on the Houston Rockets in a shotgun series like this. But you practice without fans, and that seems like work. The game is with fans, so that's the fun, and that's going to be missing. And it's going to be interesting to see how the players interact with one another, because it was one thing when players had a dislike for each other to not have fans, but it's another thing if the players don't have dislike for each other and you can hear what they're saying, you're going to be at home like, come on, man. If one is like, good shot, or good move, or if they're complimenting each other too much and you can hear it, you're not going to like to hear that as a fan.
Well, guys, does this count as a
Again, guys.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, does this count as a regular season now? Do you think that this should just be regular, just because things are so different from what seasons have been like prior to this? This is the first time something like this has happened.
Yes, Ian. Thank you every morning for keeping these guys in check. So what's going to happen in a scenario like this is all of the teams and the players, it's 13 from the West, 9 from the East. So you're going to have the bottom feeders that get invited like Phoenix and San Antonio or in Washington in the East. They're just guinea pigs to get the last 8 games in to get the local TV money. That's all the reason why they were invited. So now you play over 70 games. People have already taken a 25% pay cut. You get some of that money back. Now, if you're within 4 games, which in the West, there's a lot of great young players. You got Zion Williamson, you got Dame Lillard, you got Ja Morant, you got those 3 teams going for the 8th spot. So basically, you want those 3 teams to fight for the 8th spot. And then once it starts, it's 7-game series from here on out.
Zion probably big as hell right now. Anybody seen Zion?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. He's 400 pounds. He's not a stretch 4. He's a stretch Mark 4, for real. I'm telling you. So Zion, him getting drafted by New Orleans was great for New Orleans, but bad for his diet, man. Anyone's been in New Orleans knows you come back with some extra pounds on you, and Zion did the same already. You notice you've never seen Zion with his shirt off, right?
Yeah,
that is true. He was getting in game shape though. I think those 3 months might have set him back. I haven't seen him. I don't know, but I highly doubt he's in shape.
Mm-mm.
I bet he took Drew Brees' picture down from the man cave recently.
As he should have. What do you think athletes have a social responsibility to ball players when they come back to speak about the protest, Jalen?
Absolutely. So over my shoulder, for those that can't see, is one of my favorite pictures. It's an iconic one, and it's the Ali Summit. It's when Muhammad Ali refused to go to the military. Okay, is Lou Alcindor, a young Lou Alcindor, before he was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Phil Russell, it's Jim Brown, the greatest players, the greatest champions, the greatest social warriors that sports have seen. Our voice always needed to be heard. It's just that the masses tried to muzzle it. So it's like, okay, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, you can win a medal, but we don't care about your politics. We don't care about your voice. We don't care that you're going back to the United States and you're not even looked at as a free man. Okay, we don't even care about that. In sports, they used to call that either shut up and dribble, or when we were launching a show called Get Up in the Morning, they started calling us woke center. So let me get this right, because I have an opinion about my people being oppressed. That makes me woke. And then it became coded almost like Make America Great Again, or like a dog whistle, that when you said those terms, we knew what side you're on. So absolutely, if you have a voice and if you felt like Colin was wrong to take a knee at work, now you need to check yourself. If you had a problem when you heard the terms reparations, you got to check yourself. Check yourself.
That's right.
Affirmative action, you got to check yourself, because we helped build this country over 500 years. And now our voices are loud as ever. We stand in the suburbs now. We getting more money than ever. We emboldened now. So when I see Jalen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon with their amazing NBA contracts and security, yet their voices of protest being heard on the front line, and Steven Jackson, we need that. And the groundswell is going to continue to grow, because unlike the 60s, it's not just black people. It's multiple people of different ethnicities that are tired of the oppression that's taking place in the United States of America.
Now, Jacoby, your son actually seen the video of George Floyd's murder, right? He's 6 years old?
Yeah, he's 6 years old. It's 7 years old today. Happy birthday, Q. You know when you got a bunch of remotes? You got a bunch of remote controls, so I turned on the TV one, and I couldn't find the cable one, so I couldn't change the channel, and he saw the film, the video of George Floyd being murdered by police, and immediately his response was just, what is that man doing under the car? And he started crying, and he could tell as a blank page, as a young, innocent boy, he could tell right and wrong right in that moment immediately, and why it takes generations for everyone else to catch up to him at 6 years old is just something that we're still trying to figure out.
What was the conversation with him when he seen that? What did you say, you know?
Well, first of all, I tried to get the television off as soon as possible. And then it becomes a very difficult conversation. And if you don't know, his mother is black, so he's biracial. I'm white. Mm-hmm. And he understands the difference between black and white, but he doesn't understand the centuries of oppression. And he doesn't understand the systematic police brutality. And he doesn't understand all that. So you have to have this conversation with yourself. How much of this do I want to get into with him right now? He's 6 years old, right? So we just explained in a very sort of broad way. I brought my wife into the conversation about black people and white people and how that relationship is complex and happened for a long time. And he knows about slavery. And then what we said is we needed to protest. And what we did a few days later is that we got on our bikes and we kind of rode by a protest. You know, I'm concerned about COVID, so we didn't get all in the middle of it. But he got to experience the protest, clap along, understand why Black Lives matters the way it does. And we took it from there. You know, we do the best we can. We're all just doing the best we can. You know, not just parents, but everybody is. And that's kind of the conversation that we had.
What did you guys think about Roger Goodell's statement? And what do you think is going to happen moving forward? What would you like to see the NFL do now?
I think his video was great theater, but it was not genuine, because if it was, he would have mentioned Colin Kaepernick by name. He did not do that on purpose. And by the way, he didn't do the video until 13 or 14 notable NFL players did their mixtape version of one for the NFL. That's why it's important for you to use your voice if you have one. And the larger your platform, I can't lie. Anytime I'm seeing Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods drop the statements, that's the first time in my life that that's happened.
Michael dropped two.
In my life, right? Both of those guys are so. And if you know the history of America, and we don't even have to go all the way back to slavery. I'm just talking about anytime there's a loud black voice, many times it becomes something that's a predator and or murder by police officers, the people we pay to protect and serve. I want people out there to Google Fred Hampton. He was murdered in Chicago by police in the middle of the night. Okay, I can give you 100 of these examples. And so based on how we continue to progress as a society, what has happened is, wait a minute, that happened to George Floyd. That happened to Ahmaud Arbery. That happened to Breonna Taylor. But then all of a sudden in Buffalo, a 79-year-old elderly man gets pushed by police and ambushed, and they walk over him while he's on the ground bleeding. Right. And you can see the officers pushing one another away from each other. So now all of a sudden, suburban America and white America is looking like, wait a minute, we hear that you guys are being oppressed, and now that revolution is being televised, and it's on Instagram and it's on social media. But they're also doing this to us as well? Wait a minute. We need to unite together and make change. And that's a groundswell that makes me enthusiastic about what I'm seeing right now. This feels different. This doesn't feel like the first Eric Garner I Can't Breathe. This doesn't feel like
it's a paradigm shift.
This feels like it's going to be a paradigm shift. I agree with you.
You know what else, Jalen, too, man? And I would love for you and Jacoby to do this at ESPN. Like, we can't let these corporations turn this into Black Lives marketing. Meaning, like, yo, how many people, Black people, work at your place of business? How many Black people do you have in senior roles at your company? How many Black people on your board? What does your Black representation look like? I feel like if 13% of Black people make up the population, we should make up 13% of all industries when it comes to equity, ownership, and involvement. I don't want to hear nothing about no Black Lives Matter if your company doesn't reflect that.
I agree with you, Charlamagne. Go ahead, Jacoby.
I mean, I can't respond to that on behalf of ESPN, but one thing that I am concerned about, much like you, is right now everyone's put out their statement. Right now everyone's marching in the street. And right now everyone's so not excited is the wrong word, but everyone's so passionate and enraged and involved in this movement. And this needs to happen over years. This needs to happen over years. And for the change that you're talking about, especially with senior roles, a lot of time people make diversity hires, but they make those diversity hires in the lower ranks of the company. And it doesn't really change the tip of the spear. So I feel like if this needs to happen over weeks and weeks and years and months in order to make that real change and to make the representation at the top of these big corporations the same as the representation in the streets. You know, the cross-section of the population should be represented at the top of the corporations, not just the bottom.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you guys saw what happened at Adidas also, where they put out the racism statement with crossing out racism, and then it was revealed that there's a lot of racism within that company as well. So for a company like Adidas, have you guys heard rumblings of things that go on at these companies and now they're being brought to the forefront?
Well, you guys know, because you guys work in corporate America just like Jalen and Jacoby, and since we have bosses, there are edges of the pool we can walk to without getting pushed in or falling in, because it's important for each of us to keep our voice. And if you look throughout the landscape of the Black and brown dynamic, unfortunately, we were brought here to entertain and for labor. So basically, the industries that people that are Black and brown make the most money, for the most part, off the top of my head, seem like the NFL and the NBA, and then a couple of outliers and maybe entertainment, like a Will Smith was an outlier, or Denzel, maybe a Tiger Woods, maybe these are outliers. But for the most part, white people own the corporations. They hire people that look like them to run the corporations. They hire people to look like them to manage the corporations. And then a lot of times we become a quota of a hire, to Charlamagne's point. So as we continue to stump and you continue to see people write all of these big checks, and I'm very happy that people have an awareness to our plight and want to be supportive. But there's a charity, and there's a charity that makes it to the hood. And as a founder of a tuition-free public charter high school, we just had our 6th graduation. I started the school 9 years ago. And when I do those posts, or when I graduate 80 students this year, 12 from college, and when I service over 1,000 students, that's a footnote. That ain't even discussed, okay? And so why did I do it? Because I realized something. Racism also needed a vaccine, and it's called education. And we're gonna keep pushing all of these Black faces that are graduating from our school, that 100% of them are going on to college or universities and community college, because they're going to be armed to be the successful people that can help lead the charge that each of you guys talk about on a daily basis.
Now, Jalen, we don't celebrate you enough. We don't celebrate Jalen enough for that school, man. Drop on the cruise bombs for Jalen Rose having that school. Salute to LeBron. LeBron got his school. LeBron gets a lot of attention. Jalen, you've been doing yours for 9 years. We don't celebrate you enough for that.
Completely tuition free, amazing.
Absolutely.
I want to pick up Jalen for that one. Let me pick up Jalen for that one, because I went to the commencement ceremony one time, and you think about the students, I think it was 85 that year, the students that walked across the stage. But one thing that really struck me is it's not just those 85 students, it's everybody in the audience, all the aunties and uncles and the mothers and fathers and the brothers and sisters. Like, that was such an amazing day that affected thousands of people in the community of Detroit. Jalen does an amazing job, but that doesn't get celebrated enough.
Salute to you, Jalen.
And also, I'm sorry, I'm on my phone. I get passionate about this. I got to plug the phone back in. So can I please, is that better? Sorry.
Yeah, that's better.
Can I please say this too? So when our scholars graduate, it's not just walk across the stage, you're a 12th grader, throw your hat in the ear, and like our high schools did, say bye. It's really see you later. We're a 9 through 16 model. So I have 400 scholars in high school, and then we have another 600 between their freshman and fifth year of college. So the reason why I went age 14 to 22 is because that's when young Black men and women start to be viewed by society as endangered species. That's when we start to be overlooked. That's when we start to be underserved. We're not cute and cuddly at 14. A lot of times when people want to help us out, they want to get us when we're younger, when we have that parental involvement to change our diapers, to wake us up in the morning, to take us to school. We ain't on social media. We ain't been exposed to the ills of the neighborhood. We haven't been exposed to sex, drugs, violence, and gangs and social media. So those students get cast off. These are the ones we went and grabbed. And it's 1,000 of them that we graduate from high school, graduate from college, put them in trade school. And we're very proud of everybody from our board to our staff and to all of the parents and scholars that put in the hard work every day.
Absolutely. So, did you see the picture of yourself and they put you in a Hampton University outfit, uniform? And then I seen Carmelo Anthony and Morgan State, and they had Kevin Durant and Howard. Now,
I can't
you ever think about? Go ahead.
Yes, Envy. I cannot front. I forwarded that picture to myself, and I'm printing that out because the opposite of being a member of the Fab Five, and that's 5 guys at a white university that was able to change the landscape of the way we were able to change it. The total opposite of that is going to Hampton and having a great time. And I know I have fun at Michigan, but I'm telling you right now, oh my goodness, if I went to a Black college, man, please. I probably would have wanted to run for office instead of go play in the league.
But how do we get more athletes to do it? Because when I seen that picture, I thought it was amazing. I was like, it just takes a couple of players. Like, how do we, what do you think about, Black players going to HBCU and playing for HBCU, keeping the money in the HBCU? I think it would do amazing things for those universities and colleges.
Oh, it's going to happen. I'm going to tell you why. Because players going overseas to get a check. Players are able to go to the G League to get a check. In a couple of years, you're going to be able to leave high school and go straight to the NBA draft to get a check. So basically, your options to go to a big college or university versus go to an HBCU, other than the platform that they can provide because they have so much more money, the fellowship you get with your people. I can't front. Early 90s, I was at Michigan, and I was looking at Outkast video, and they had just came out. I was like, oh, I need to get to Freaknik. I must get down there. It is mandatory. And Jimmy, Ray, and we drove 8 hours to Freaknik. And I have a picture of myself with Earthquake and Mark Curry in Magic City. When I was in college, I was like, oh, man, I should go to a Black school. This is great. So I believe it's going to eventually happen.
I saw Mikey Williams tweet out. Mikey Williams tweeted out that going to an HBCU wouldn't be so bad. I mean, he's young. He's 15, but he's like a top prospect in high school. So, I mean, listen, the fact that he's even thinking about it says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are your guys' thoughts on James Dolan and his lack of a statement and then his leaked emails going out? What do you think people are thinking about James Dolan and going to play for the Knicks?
Uh-oh, Jacoby, go ahead and cook. That's your guy. That's your man. That's your man.
He's my man now? Oh, now he's my man. Okay.
This is interesting.
Okay. Well, I would say this is not putting out a statement is one thing, right? And that to me is wrong. That's just my opinion. But to write an email to all of your employees explaining why you're not putting out a statement, like I don't understand how that can even happen. And then you start taking it to the next level. You're like, all right, can we get him out of the league? Right? Because this isn't the first time. He's a habitual line stepper when it comes to this kind of thing. But I just don't think the legislature's there. He owns the team. So I don't think that this is a quote-unquote fireable offense for him. But if I'm a free agent, I don't want to go play there.
Right.
Especially with what they put on the court and what they have in the front office. I don't want to go there when you've got the Nets right across the river. Why not? I understand why Katie and Kyrie went there. You've got the Charles Oakley incident, him yelling at a fan, getting a fan kicked out. He needs to just sell the team.
Spike Lee.
Yeah, Spike Lee, exactly. And the problem with this is I watch those Forbes lists every year, and the value of the Knicks just keeps going up and up and up and up. There's no reason for him to sell a team when every single year hundreds of millions of dollars in value gets added to that, no matter what they put on the floor, no matter what their record is. And at this point, we're stuck with him. And if you're a Knicks fan,
saying that New Yorkers are stupid, Jacoby. New York is a glutton for punishment.
Agree. As I hear you tell the James Dolan story, unfortunately, it reminds me a lot in a parallel universe of what's going on in our country. So you're talking about somebody that doesn't seem to be inclusive, doesn't seem to be embracing the Black Lives Matter movement, but yet they're making more money off the equity. They're making more money off the sweat equity that the Black players are putting on the floor. And then people, probably your most notable fan and mascot, basically in Spike Lee, you got the nerve to disrespect him and assassinate his character in any way, shape, or form. I see a common theme there, and it's unfortunate.
You know, Jalen, you said something earlier about miking the players up. I think that they're going to have to do that in the NBA. I also think that they should find a way to have like a live Twitter ticker rolling at the bottom of the screen. You know what I mean? What do you think of that?
Here's the problem with the players are going to be mic'd up. They are going to be mic'd up. But you're only going to hear a watered-down version of it. Think about it. These are going to be made-for-TV events. You'll hear crowd noise. It might be cut out cardboards of people in the stands. It's going to be people socially distancing. It's going to be a made-for-TV event. And so I wish we can hear the true trash talk that you guys hear on street ball or when people going to play or whatnot, but it's going to be filtered so much by the team, by the league. Yeah, you're going to hear some, check up or and one or like normal stuff, but you're not going to hear what they really say when they get to technical fouls because that's going to be bleeped out.
You don't think social media interaction, Jacoby, Jalen, y'all don't think that would be good to have social media interaction? Not from the players. I'm talking about people watching it at home.
They'll be cursing on TV. That's going to be tough.
They have to filter that.
They have to filter that.
I mean, they could have some sort of curated Twitter live stream feed, but we've tried that sort of thing before, and it never really hits the way you want it to. I'd rather watch the game than read the game, And right. I think that if we know those coaches huddle where they let us in on. Every time they let us into a coach's huddle, they're not saying anything. Like, come on, guys, rebound, try hard. Because we only get – it's every time I'm like, it seems like they're talking like 7-year-olds. Like, what is this? Like, this guy's getting paid $10 million to say try hard. So they're only going to give us these little tiny snippets. We won't be able to see what's really going on. But I just want to know there's going to be some lobby bar action going on in Orlando. I want to know if our reporters are ready for that. Because there's going to be some lobby bar action going on. The lobby bar is going to be popping in Orlando, and I want to know who's going to tell me about that.
I'm going to tell you what bet not happen. I bet not see any TMT stories because you guys know, and I don't want to see nobody on the Angela Yee report. There's going to be people in quarantine for months, okay? And like Jacoby said, you're going to be interacting with strangers and friends and family and coworkers and other players from other teams. I just hope there's not any commingling between husbands and wives of other teams, players and stuff. I'm just saying, because that's a long time to be in the same place at the same time, walking from the bar to the pool to the room. I'm just saying.
See, you could have got away with that previously when you were playing, but nowadays with social media, there's not much that people can get away with,
Absolutely. People who got the camera nowadays, for sure. And the reason, I guess that came to mind because I just saw, I don't know if it just happened. I know you guys probably know this. Arizona has a legislation, I saw Ice Cube post this, that basically forbids civilians from filming the police. Did you guys know this?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, I didn't know it was in Arizona, but I've heard of states having it, yeah.
How about that? Like, it's a $600 fine, and you're not able to use the footage. It is basically like you're the criminal.
That's crazy.
And that's the same place that Chuck D did a song called By the Time I Get to Arizona when they were the last to adopt Martin Luther King's birthday. Martin Luther King is a national holiday. And this was like 25 years ago. Like they still out here with these shenanigans?
Absolutely.
I saw a lot of players upset about Michael Jordan's documentary saying that there's certain things that happen that you're not supposed to tell publicly. So I would guess that, especially in this case, when everyone is in Orlando, there's got to be some type of code of silence.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a code of silence. You're going to be quarantining. But the married guys are with their significant others and their kids. They're enjoying Disney in this big resort. And we got it to ourselves. They're in heaven. But the single guys, like I said, the guys that trying to get action, the guys like me when I was in the league that were trying to be out all of the time or probably used to going to make it rain, they still got their black card. They gonna figure a way to try to make action happen.
Hey, question about that. Question about that, Doc. Did y'all have last dance fatigue? Because y'all talked about that for at least 2 months.
Weeks.
Oh, no way. No way. I could watch another 10 episodes. I could watch 10 episodes of him at the Wizards. Honestly, I could watch I could Wizards? All that up. Absolutely. With no sports on, Sunday night, everyone looked forward to Sunday night. It was true. It was like true appointment viewing. Everyone's on Twitter. Everyone's talking to their boys about it. At 11 o'clock comes around, you call up your friends. Like it was really like, and I don't mean to, I'm gonna go a little too far with it, but it was really like it built a community. It was the first time we could actually be together in the quarantine because we were all doing the same thing at the same time. Now, would it be as interesting with him at the Wizards? No, he got a little fat, but whatever. You know?
What did you think of how they depicted Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant?
So for me, I always try to use sports as or entertainment as a jump off point to teach. Like Biggie said, if you sling crack rocket, you got a wicked jump shot. People that are black or brown grow up and wanting to be athletes or entertainers because we see those people be successful. And so here's something I want everybody to get from Last Dance. Gary Krause, one of the greatest general managers of all time. Scottie Pippen, one of the top 50 players of all time. Horace Grant won 3 championships as a player and one of the greatest power forwards to ever do it in the Bulls uniform. All of those gentlemen were unhappy about the Last Dance. I'll try to tell people all of the time, they think money and fame equals success. And that's not necessarily the case. These guys had more success than anybody. But right now, instead of them celebrating it, Envy, if I was Scottie Pippen, I should be able to walk around with my chest out, with my 6 rings on, and celebrate that. But instead, they show so many of his warts, like all great stories do. It's like he can't even be happy. And so I got from it, it's sad that they had so much success and they not even cool with each other. They not even cool, and that's crazy.
Scotty and Michael not cool?
Clearly, Charlamagne.
I thought they was cool. I didn't think they were like best friends, but I thought they were.
I never thought they were that cool.
Dog, he wasn't even on the team in '94 when he didn't go in the game against the Bulls. Against the Knicks. MJ wasn't even on the squad. They didn't have to show that. All these guys have done projects and documentaries and written books. Like, MJ wasn't even on it. Like, if that's your man, there's certain things that you just not, all right, you know what? I ain't play that year, boom. Like, certain things, all right, like the missed free throw at Indiana, we was playing against them. Like, I forgot about that. I was in the game. I forgot about that. You know?
But they did show Michael missing a couple too, though.
But you guys know. And this is why I ain't really excited about ESPN's Tom Brady documentary just yet. Because in any great story, you're going to need GOATs. Jerry Krause, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, they played that role. I don't believe if Tom Brady does, it's going to be more rah-rah, it's going to be more helmet slap, it's going to be more rage against the NFL. It's not going to be them making fat jokes about their GM. Like, that was crazy.
You know what made me appreciate The Last Dance so much, though? You realize that it was oftentimes the Bulls didn't have the best team. Y'all had a better team when y'all played them in the finals. So it made me appreciate the journey even more.
See, like when you count rings, it's like he got 6 MVPs, and people just assume that they just swept all the way through and was unchallenged the entire time. As we was beating them by 15 in Game 7 in the second quarter. And I look back at the documentary, and as everybody celebrate MJ, he the GOAT. Of course, we better celebrate MJ. I'm looking at him, I'm like, this dude had a pot belly, was smoking a cigar in the locker room. They was smoking on the plane. We should have beat them. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, like, how did we lose to them? So to your point, it's exactly right. He willed them to get it done sometimes even when they weren't the best squad, and that was definitely one of those years.
I mean, that's the one thing that, because we all remember the successes of that team. We all remember the 6 championships and the 6 finals MVPs, but you forget that Phoenix team pushed them in that series. They won 2 in a row. Yes. And then you also forget that Sonics team. And then you forget about the Pistons that took them 7. Jalen Rose, by the way, 3 for 4 from the field in that game. I really feel like Larry Bird just got to put Jalen back in the game there. You got to put Jalen back in the game. That's why y'all lose. You're up by 15, then you take Jalen out, you see what happens. Larry Bird, biggest regret of his career, I'm sure. But, like, one thing I loved about the last days is you forget just how hard every one of those championships was and the mental and physical fatigue that he had to go through and the toll that just his celebrity took on him. It was fun to relive that because I was young when it happened.
Well, I do want to point out that the programming is still not stopping, though, on Sunday nights, because I did watch Be Like Water, 30 for 30, which was really amazing about Bruce Lee. So, and a lot of people were shocked that was on ESPN because they look at it like, okay, martial arts, sports, Bruce Lee, but it made a lot of sense. And a lot of it was also about racism that Bruce Lee had to face in Hollywood. So, and I know you guys have another one coming up, so I want to make sure that we let people know that this programming is still happening, this amazing programming on ESPN as well, right?
Yeah, every Sunday night there's a new 30 for 30 documentary. Then immediately afterwards, Jalen and I do an after show on Twitter. And last night was Bruce Lee, the story of that. And it was, like, as you mentioned, it was a story of oppression and a story of racism. And I think that a lot of people look at Bruce Lee's life, oh, he was a big movie star. Well, he wasn't. Every role that he was offered was the role as the sidekick or the servant or something like that. And even in some of his most famous films, like Fist and Fury, he had to write in his own dialogue just so that the film had some authenticity to it from his perspective. And I thought that was great. Next week, we have the story of the home run race between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire.
And that's what I love about Black people, because once you're oppressed, you welcome other people, especially when you've seen that they're being treated the same way. We had love for Bruce Lee. I remember getting the karate shoes and making fake nunchucks and watching Chuck Norris and Jim Kelly was so handsome and well-dressed and strong. And so when Bruce Lee came along, then had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar working out with him and stuff like that.
Muhammad Ali.
And he was so talented. No doubt. He was so hard-working and so talented. And just to see how he overcame so much in Hollywood was truly amazing that he accomplished what he was able to accomplish.
They had a problem with his accent, and they had white people playing Asian people like Genghis Khan, and they talk about all of that, and those might be things that we didn't even take into consideration.
John Wayne played Genghis Khan. Just think about that. John Wayne played Genghis Khan. Like, that is a white person.
Yeah, no, you can't get no whiter than John Wayne. I never liked John Wayne because of Chuck D, though. Well, Public Enemy, when he said, "Mother F him and John Wayne," I didn't even know who John Wayne was. Like, Public Enemy say F him.
And by the way, we stood on the table for the last 10 or 15 years. When we getting them Harriet Tubman 20s? Like, what's taking so long?
Right.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, absolutely.
To get made in commerce. What happened to that?
That's not happening under this administration. Maybe the next one. But Jalen, I want to talk to you about the Pistons, right? How come the 2004 Pistons, who upset the Lakers team, don't get spoken about like that?
Because they came along in an era of dominant dynasties. And I love LeBron James. He's one of the top 4 or 5 players to ever do it, in my opinion. There are players that have accomplished more, like Kareem and Russell and even Magic. But LeBron and MJ, no matter where you take it, those are the dudes. And so, what was the question again?
Why don't the 2004 Pistons get spoken about?
I got it. You know, there's certain things you do before you do shows like this in the morning. I'm pretty sure you lose your memory.
Gotcha.
So
it's all good.
So just think about this. From 2000 to 2010, Shaq, Kobe, Tim Duncan took all of the rings, like MJ did in the 90s. And so the Pistons, the Pistons jumped up and got one. The Heat jumped up and got one. The Mavs jumped up and got one. Those 3 guys took the other 7.
Got you. So the Pistons are kind of like that Rockets team in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you look from 2011 to now, LeBron does have his 3, but so does Steph. Kawhi has 2. So, like, different players now that are great are also getting the chance to make their mark versus when MJ was dominant, he played 6 years. They won a championship those 6 years. When he left, Akeem won those 2. And so that's why our Detroit Pistons, bad boys too, thank you for giving them love. Chauncey, Rip, Big Ben should be in the Hall of Fame. Rasheed Wallace shoot threes at 7 foot tall. And so
Tayshaun Prince.
The guy, when she was getting texts, I was watching the NBA, I was playing in the league, I was like, I wish every time a player got a text, the money stayed in the hood. I actually pitched that to the league. What happens to that tech money? Where it go? He played for Detroit. If they get a tech and it's at the end of the year, it's $350,000 worth of checks. What they should be doing is going different places and showing young people, look at all of these clips of me getting texts. This is how you deal with your anger management. This is how you deal with your social issues at work. Here's a big blank check. Yeah. Everybody wins. That's what should happen with that money. I'm going to champion it happening until I can't do it anymore.
Word.
Makes sense. Well, thank you guys for joining us, brother. We appreciate y'all for checking in always.
Jalen and Jacoby.
Appreciate
Big fans of this show. It's an honor to be on the Breakfast Club. It is an honor to be on the Breakfast Club, man. We love y'all show. We talk about it all the time.
Thank you so much.
Check us out every day at 4 p.m. on ESPN. And when Jacoby was growing up in Amherst, Massachusetts, he never would have thought he'd be on the Breakfast Club.
It's Jalen and Jacoby. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.